must have done. I do every day, the same as before. Before needs a catheter, he's pulled it out again, of course. For Cybrimon, more painkillers, please. Oh, God. My head, I need more painkillers. I don't know their names. I used to know their names. I used to know every patient's name. There was Sally. She had her pet Border Collie Cooper. She was always showing me pictures on Walk Round. There was Margaret and Jim. He'd visit her every single day. Still as in love as ever. Met in Paris, you know. Not now. The days blur, the faces blur. Alarm goes off at 5:30. I commute the hour and a half to work, and by the time I'm home, it's pot noodle and bed, ready to repeat again tomorrow. Brave face on. First class all day. Haven't had time for water today. Haven't had time to breathe today. Do you remember when we had all the time in the world? I used to have hobbies. Real hobbies, passions. It all seems so long ago now. You'd think by the look of this flat, I had all the time in the world for hobbies. Look, she can play an instrument. Look how full her calendar is. I can't remember the last time I picked this thing up. It's simply an ornament now. Conversation starter for Tinder dates when I want to pretend my whole personality isn't medicine. What a joke. So much fun with this thing. Me and my friends would always be learning songs in school. Such good times. You know, weirdly always McFly. I think at one point people thought we were starting to try a bit of a McFly tribute band, but you know, I didn't care. I used to never care what people thought of me, and now there's so much pressure to succeed and excel in everything I do.
Bed 6 needs urgent bloods. Now?
You know, it's funny really. My hobbies are what got me into medicine in the first place. A unique talking point for interviews showing passion, commitment. Yeah, those were the first to go when exams, placement, essays all got in the way. Thanks, old friends, I suppose. You could have warned me what I was getting into. You know, I did try to continue when I got to university. I wanted to join the Drama Society. So I went to the Freshers' Fair, and I went to the stall and I overheard a conversation between two girls. We're not letting medics in again, are we? No. They'll only ruin it. They're far too busy. And I never stepped foot on stage again. And then there's old running shoes. Now just those shoes you keep by the door to take the bins out. I used to take for granted all of the time I had for exercise. It's something so simple that we tell all of our patients to do, yet where's my prescription for exercise? How am I supposed to fit it around my 40-hour week? Never mind the exhaustion. Now I'm only ever running when the crash bleep goes off. Beep, 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 beep. There's still so much I said I'd do. All false promises, of course. I'll be lucky if I make it to one event. Can't go to Rachel's party next weekend. Lates again. Nobody to swap with me. Again. They'll all start to think I hate them. They probably already do. I get invited to less and less nowadays. It means I let less people down, I suppose, but it still hurts from the doctor's mess, trying to get an hour's nap between jobs, to see all their Instagram stories. My doctor friends understand, but we're lucky if we get the same weekend off once a year, and then they leave early for kids or early starts the next day. You know, I feel so alone.
Have you done that discharge summary yet?
Every time I go home, it's, do you have a boyfriend yet? But I don't want to let anyone else in. I can't bear to let anyone else down. It's easier to be alone. I was in my second year of foundation training when Ed left me. Had enough of me constantly cancelling plans, but I had to.
I had to stay. I couldn't say no, I was the only doctor in the whole ward.
This is the third plan you've cancelled this week.
I'm sorry, I really am, but you just don't understand.
You're constantly letting people down. Me, your friends, your family.
You know what, you really don't understand.
Still, his voice so clear in my head when he said,
It's over.
And then he left. Another one. You know, it's funny, I kind of feel sorry for him now. Sure, at the time I was angry, I was furious, but it must be hard being with someone that's world revolves around other people, constantly cancelling plans at the drop of a hat for the patients. But this is people's lives, and ours will always come second. This is what we signed up for.
There's some birthday cake in the fridge for you if you want some. You okay?
No.
Before I came to medical school, I was having a bit of a question of did I want to do medicine or did I want to do drama? And when I got here, it was drama that kind of took the...
Before I came to university, I was able to commit to netball training upwards of 2 or 3 times a week, and I travelled quite far and wide to play competitive matches. I came to university and I found that the medical degree didn't allow me the same flexibility to be able to play to the same standard that I wanted to.
I used to have a part-time job in a pub, which gave me the financial freedom to be able to do the things that I enjoyed at the weekend, such as seeing friends and doing hobbies that I enjoyed.
When people used to ask me if I played an instrument, I used to say, yeah, I could play the saxophone. I don't say that anymore. I say I used to play. I haven't touched it in years.
Can't think of one specific thing that I've given up whilst I've been at uni, but I can think of a lot of time that I could have done other things in.
With the constant time pressures of assessments, placement, everything with the medical school, I think I've lost the ability to have time to myself.
I've missed holidays and events that friends who are on not so demanding courses have been able to go to because of the nature of our course.
Pre-uni, I never found it difficult to balance sport, social and work. They're all 3 things that I used to really, really enjoy.
I was in a serious relationship when I came to medical school. Been together for 5 years, and I moved away to go to medical school. Time commitments just meant we grew apart.
For the last couple of years I worked as a ski instructor at the Chill Factor, and I loved it. It was the best job in the world. Going into 4th year I thought, you know, you hear these horror stories, but I thought, you know, how hard can it be? I'll manage it somehow. And then I did a semester of it, but then felt really, really burnt out by Christmas and did a couple more shifts in the new year and had to quit, unfortunately.
I ended up doing Medics Netball, which is a lovely club, and they've been incredibly welcoming, and I ended up running it last year. But it's not the same. I was never able to kind of pursue the netball to the same level of competition that I was used to.
Because those same friends have been earning for the past 2 years, they've been able to do lots of things that I just can't afford to do.
I now find myself feeling guilty whenever I have an hour to spare and then not run off my feet.
I just haven't really found the time. Our timetables are so packed that it's hard to think around anything outside that, let alone find time in the evenings to go to rehearsals that everyone else is free for and to learn your script. I still get nightmares where I don't know the lines for something.
I spent a lot of time commuting. Like when I first started clinical years, about 3 hours a day getting the bus, and like I lived away for placement like almost every year for like 4 to 6 weeks in accommodation away from my house.
Due to the nature of the course, it means that I'm having to not only do placement during the week but then study at the weekends, and now I don't have that job anymore and have a lot less money than I did in the past, which means that I often have to say no to plans.
One thing that I didn't really appreciate at the time was how much I enjoyed the break from talking about medicine and placement and exams.
It's a lot of time that I had to give up to be on placement and be a medical student.
Despite still enjoying all three things, I've always had to let one go. So at any one point, I've only been allowed to sort of enjoy 2 out of the 3.
And I'd go to work and instead of celebrating, you know, honours and exam results, I'd celebrate, you know, tricks that people have landed or qualifications that people have just achieved.
This is a lot of time where I could have been working a part-time job or doing a sport or seeing my friends.
Slowly as the year went on, I realised I couldn't go to rehearsals as much. I couldn't really make the same commitment that other students could, and slowly just began to play less.
No one cared that I was a medical student, no one wanted to know what I'd been doing on placement, and I think now that I've kind of come away from it, I actually really valued that break and that separation.
It has created a bit of a separation between those friends and
I miss it.
Which is a real shame.
Medicine can be quite all-consuming and it's easy to get quite wrapped up in it, and so hopefully, you know, one day I can go back and enjoy the hobby that I love to do.